Hello and welcome to SelfWork, a YGTG, or You Get the Gist. I'm Dr. Margaret Rutherford. Today's YGTG is on Simone, Stigma, and suicide, and I'm wanting to make a couple of points that may or may not have occurred to you while you heard or were watching Simone Biles' journey at the Olympics. But first, I want to congratulate the entire team on their efforts, their sportsmanship, and their triumphs. I watched a team interview where I was appalled, actually, even though I'm a mental health professional that focused solely on Simone, while there were other gold, silver, and bronze medalists sitting there. If there was rancor on the team, we didn't see it. Instead, they supported one another, and that was truly meaningful to see. So congratulations to all. First, I wondered what your first thought might have been when you heard Ms. Biles had initially opted out. And we fairly quickly learned it was because of her concerns about her focus, basically her impaired state of mental health, and how that might work to harm her physically. Or as she said to her team, I don't want to ruin your chances of winning with a less than stellar performance. What I saw on Twitter, not that I'm much of a Twitter fan, that the almost immediate reference to the gymnast years ago came up, Carrie Strug, who won gold while performing on a severely wounded ankle. And she was carried out of the stadium by her proud and beaming coach. Things were said like, she's tough, she did it for her team. And then there was very harsh language that was spewed about Simone Biles, as if she was playing the victim, as if she wasn't courageous. It was awful to me that we would treat anyone of her athletic stature and character like that. So in the privacy of your own mind, what did you really think or feel? Did you put yourself in her shoes? Could you disappoint your boss or your family or your kids due to your own concerns about your mental health? How many times have you done things that you realized on a core level might harm you, but you went ahead and did it? What would be the limit to that? What would be the boundary for you to say, no, I can't? And then there's a second aspect to this. What did your immediate thought about Simone Biles suggest about where you are in your desire or attempts to destigmatize mental and emotional issues? You're listening to SelfWork, so that suggests to me that somewhere along the line, you've become interested in therapy or mental and emotional health. Maybe you're in therapy, maybe you're just poking around, but what was your first thought? There's a lot we can learn from that. So I'm here today simply asking a few questions of you. The answers are yours to be privately considered and maybe changed if need be. Also, I would love to suggest that you watch the documentary done by Michael Phelps on former Olympic athletes and suicide. I'll put the link in your show notes. Their rates of suicide are going way up. And actually, Michael Phelps himself was suicidal more than once after his Olympic run. All the athletes on the documentary called Weight of Gold, they say all the affirmation is gone. The people helping them with everything they need, they're gone. There's very little of any interest in what they're doing now or who they are as people. I want to stress that. Very little interest in who they are as people. And that's what I sensed with Simone Biles as well. She was supposed to win the gold, right? Rather than saying, not at any cost. Certainly not at any cost. But the Olympians are adored and catered to because of their excellence at achieving. And once the opportunity for that achievement is over, once the very rigid structure of preparing and practicing and performing is over, what defines them now? Often these athletes feel a tremendous void. What had been their sole purpose, their sole focus, is over. Think of it as a rocky retirement on steroids, and when you're only in your 20s or even younger. You might be saying, well, they just thrived on all the attention. But you know what? Here's a story. A normal guy named Brett Cohen faked being a celebrity in 2012. He literally got his friends to hold cameras, and some played his bodyguards, and he dressed up like he was an actor. And it was totally wild what happened. People thought he was a real celebrity. They made statements about they were sure they'd seen him in some movie. But it was at the moment he was buying a water in a stop and go, thinking it was mostly over, that a cop came over to him and asked what he was doing. He said, buying a water. The officer then pointed to a bunch of paparazzi outside. And Brett Cohen realized that he'd really liked it. He'd gotten sucked into his own prank. There was also a recent shared tweet by a famous podcaster that talked about what you get when you, quote unquote, get to be a celebrity. Death threats, absolute lack of privacy, family members being harassed. It's not all it's cracked up to be. So my take is that the attention wears quite thin, and although silence its absence creates might be welcome, it's also something to become adjusted to. It's a two-way sword, and sometimes Olympians are dying on that sword. So in my opinion, good for Simone Biles that she's aware of her mental health. I hope you're aware of yours. And I hope that you would also set that boundary when you might do damage to yourself, either physically or emotionally and mentally. And now you get the gist.